All right, guys, this is it. We're here. Let's flip the camera around, show you what I got. Ready? What's going on, guys? It's officially winter in Minnesota. You know, the other week we had beautiful sun. We're using the needle scaler out in the daylight. It's basically paradise. Now there's snow on the ground and it's 19 degrees. But it is a good day, a very good day. You know, when we talked about this channel in the first episode of going to pick up the parts trooper, I kind of told you guys that it's not just going to be a trooper channel. It's not just a project channel. We buy cars, we do things, and I'm going to get a new car today. I'm super excited. This thing has been sitting around for quite a while and I've wanted to buy it for quite some time, but it's just the timing never worked out. So let's drive down to my buddy Bjorn, who owns Broadway Auto Tech, which is a great shop here in Minneapolis. He's got all kinds of unique stuff. I hope he lets us poke around the shop a little bit because I want to show you a couple of the things that he's got over there. But for now, let's get on the road. I've got to call Jessie because the trooper is in the way and I know exactly what she is going to say, which is the same thing she says every time. Is it going to start? I guarantee you she's going to ask, is it going to start? I need you to do me a favor.
Sure.
Can you move the trooper onto the other side of the garage so I can put the new car there?
Does the trooper run?
I hope so.
Okay.
Look at this thing. What a winter beast. I almost don't want to drive these things in the winter even more. Hey! What's up? You got your camera face on?
No.
You ready for this?
No.
Hey Bjorn! How are you? So I want to show you guys my favorite thing here. And I don't know anything about it other than what Bjorn has already told me. Check this out.
This is 31 Pierce Arrow, model 142, which is the middle. So it's a pretty high luxury car. It's not the most it's not nearly a Duesenberg. Same category like a Packard or a Lincoln at that time. Cadillacs were starting to get pretty close to this. They had a V16 engine and they were really starting to be sort of the king around this time. Yeah, it's a pretty expensive car.
Like who is buying this? Is it kind of banker, lawyer, doctor?
Yeah, it's somebody really wealthy professional.
What would the common person be using for transportation at this time?
Like Model A, Ford Model A or something like that, Chevys, Dodges. Those cars are probably more like $600 to $1,000 or something like that. This is about a $4,000 car.
In what year?
1931.
So what does this thing have for a motor?
It's a straight 8. It's about 135 horsepower, which was a lot in that day.
What do we got for top speed? What do these things do?
I would guess this one would probably do 80 miles an hour and really pushing it.
Awesome. You mind if I poke around it a little bit?
Nope, go right ahead. Let's take the cover off it.
Obviously this car is in restoration, but I really, really love some of the simplicity of it, but also some of the kind of mousetrap ideas that people have, because there was really no standard for most things back then. Everybody was just thinking, well, let's just try this out and see if it works. And some things stuck and some things didn't. So let's kind of walk around and poke around at this thing and see what we can find that's unique. think this engine design is super interesting. Obviously, flathead, straight 8, but rather than have all the water, you know, we're used to having water necks on the cylinder head and everything. Obviously, there's one over here, but all this water would come out of this manifold on this other side and flow over the cylinders to kind of cool everything off. I find that super interesting. And all these linkages right here, all the stuff from the steering column comes through here. All the controls comes through here, operates the throttle, and for turning the lights on and off, you've got some switches down there. And obviously you've got the starter here, and there's this big thing that comes down when you press on the starter, which is on the floor, and it hits this thing and turns everything on. Really, really unique, and everything's kind of mechanical, which I really, really like. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna do that one more time for you guys. Here in the interior, you've got your gas throttle on the floor, obviously, but you also have this hand throttle right here. And you'll notice that when you turn the steering wheel, all this stuff stays static on there. I think that's pretty awesome. Enormous back seat. Lots of room for activities. Beautiful instruments. Speedometer right here, odometer. I guess probably having a trip odometer was probably a pretty big deal back then. You've got this beautiful clock and gas. I don't know what gas would be. You know, it says 30. I don't know if that's obviously that doesn't seem like gas for fuel. You've got oil pressure probably, and then your amp meter, and then that looks like an aftermarket water gauge right there. But I love this clock. Who doesn't want to have this? This is new goal. I need cars with goggles, and then I need cars that have the windshield crank open.
It's a weird car, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like, you think of these doors, they're super heavy, but it's steel over wood. How much of this car is wood?
All the frame of the body is wood.
Just because they didn't have the facilities to stamp things? Like, they just didn't have the complicated stamping procedures that we have now?
Yep, technology wasn't there yet to make door frames and unibodies and that kind of stuff, so they were still totally just doing what they knew.
I had my fair share of stealing hood ornaments in my younger days, so I'm sure it's lucky that this thing still exists on your car at all. I think we need to go back to having hood ornaments that are so cool that it comes with an alternative so nobody steals it.
A lot of car shows, you'll see people with Pierces put this cap on because people do steal these at car shows.
All right, guys, this is it. We're here. Let's flip the camera around, show you what I got. Ready? There it is! This W114 1972 Mercedes 250. I've been wanting to buy this car from Bjorn for at least 2 years, and it's been sitting right over here in this lot the whole time. And I finally decided that now that I've got the Trooper project going on and I'm overwhelmed by that, now is the perfect time to buy another car. And I don't know what the plan for this thing is. It needs a ton of work. It needs fuel lines, it needs brake lines. It's been sitting forever, but the interior is absolutely mint. Take a look at the interior. It's mint. You guys, look at this interior. It's so good. The engine, I'm not sure. It doesn't run. I know it's got brand new carburetors that were rebuilt by my buddy Dave. So technically, put some new fuel lines on there, it should run. Technically, we put some new brake lines on there, it should stop. But that is the extent of my knowledge on the 250. Looks like the tow truck driver's here. Let's get this thing loaded up. One thing I want to let you guys know is when you use AAA for stuff like this, always tip your tow truck driver. I always take care of these guys. Look at this. Look how great the placement on this thing is. I said, hey, get it right up nice on the garage for me, so it's easier to put in when I have to push it in the snow tomorrow. Look at that. It's perfect. Take care of these guys, they'll take care of you. Because they remember. You know, I've had enough cars towed through AAA around here that I've met the same tow truck driver multiple times. Multiple times. Oh yeah, you're the guy with the fill in the blank. And I tipped that guy 20 bucks last time. And the next time he shows up, they take great care of you, and they don't they don't report you to AAA for a little bit of abuse. There's the 2 projects right there. I'm sure Brandon is super happy that I picked up another one to waste time on. I'm all done with this thing for now. Let's check it out in the morning. For me, that's like 12 hours from now. For you guys, it's right now. Yep, it's snowing. Should have got this stuff taken care of last night. We got to get this thing in the garage somehow. And we better do that before the road gets, or the driveway gets a little bit too slippery, which is a bummer because I really wanted to kind of pick around at this thing a little bit more and have a look at it, especially in the interior and everything like that. Maybe we can dig around in there a little bit. I just don't think we can do any exterior today. So the interior of this thing is one of the reasons why I bought this thing. You know, I kind of think of the interior on the Pinto, which was a 73. This is a 72, so this is kind of a similar period of time. Just the layout of this thing, the fit and finish of this thing is a lot better. The Pinto was all plastic. And there was a few squishy items in it. Like this is all, the whole dash, everything is soft touch, everything is very, you can tell it's very quiet in here compared to the Pinto. We've got an AM FM radio, which is a big deal. The Pinto had an AM radio. Imagine driving around in the Pinto and having to turn the knob everywhere, turn back and forth and back and forth. And then you get into your boss's Mercedes. He gets in, he starts it up, and he goes, I think I want to listen to this today. And he just pushes a button and that radio station just comes on. It would have been pretty cool. Then it would have been a big contrast. Because you have to imagine, there's not a ton of technology back then. So these little things were huge differences. And the quality of the drive was a huge difference. How quiet it was, how smooth it was, you know, the power that it had. These were things that were kind of staples of contrast back then. Now does it have CarPlay? Does it stop for you if you're about to die? All these different things that are kind of software that are added on. That's what's differentiating things now, like fuel economy, maybe a little bit of it. But back then, it was more about the drive quality and the tangible things. And I think that's really, really special about something like this. So you just think, I'm not sure what this thing cost. I'll probably put it right here. But the Pinto was around, I think like $2,000 or something like that. And this thing is, you know, whatever it is, probably, I'm going to guess and say that this thing was probably, I'm going to say around $5,000 or $6,000, maybe into the $8,000. But you've got air conditioning, AM, FM radio. You've got, if you remember the Pinto, we didn't have anything on the gauges that told you anything at all. All you had was one check engine light that said, check the engine. You've got this great light switch over here, which is really, really tactile. It feels really good. The steering wheel is absolutely beautiful. It's got this wonderful horn button thing on it, which is great. The vents kind of have an aeronautical view. Is aeronautical a word? Aviation. Aviation. That's the word that we're looking for. The vents kind of have this kind of aviation feel to them, and these lasted into the 80s, having the vents like this. They're really, really great. This was actually one of the first Mercedes ever to have a center console too. So you've actually got places to put things. Guys, look at this vent window. It's got a knob. I love things that feel good in your hand. I can't wait to cruise around in this thing with this vent window open, blowing on me in the summer. It's got a beautiful video clock. I don't know what Kenzel means. Maybe it's just the model of the clock. But if you look on the gauge cluster, you've got these beautiful details. Just the shift points on the speedometer, and then you've got the beautiful lines that kind of go around and shape everything. Really well designed, The idiot lights, the check engine light, I'm guessing there's oil pressure lights, generator lights, stuff like that, are well laid out at the bottom. The lines carry through the shifter with the just shifter select window, reverse, neutral, drive. Must be second gear. L is low, must be 3 or 4 speed. Oh, there's a map. There's a map, ooh, and a notebook in the side pocket. The Hudson Street Atlas of the Greater Twin Cities, 1982-1983 edition. I'm guessing a lot of this doesn't make sense anymore. Rand McNally, Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's a pretty well-used map. You see it split here, and there's some tape in some places. Just imagine having to have this map in your car at all times. You don't have any other way to get around. Someone says, hey, you need to meet me over on Main Street in Hennepin. And you're like, okay, well, that's pretty easy. But what if it's, hey, you need to meet me on 25th Avenue in some street you've never heard of? Well, shit, you got to go look it up. And you've got, I think these are all the street names. If you look, all the street names there, tiniest little text ever. And you have to look and go, okay, well, that's on quadrant N6 in Hopkins. This is pretty serious. I mean, this was well thought out for people to get around. Definitely a lost art, maps. I love maps. And when I was a kid, I would sit in the back and, you always bring activities and stuff like that when you're driving around and doing road trips with your family. They always give you coloring books and stuff like that. But after that wears off, you're on a 10-hour road trip. You start looking for other stuff to do. And for me, it was always maps. I was looking at the maps and trying to understand. And eventually my grandfather would sat with me and taught me how to read the maps, because there's a lot of information there other than, well, here's where the cities are, here's where the roads are. There's lots of distances and calibers and scales and stuff like that you can learn that make maps very, very interesting. So I bought this car from Bjorn, and it's always nice when the previous owner, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna love this, when the previous owner doesn't take all of the stuff out of the car and leaves everything in it. These things are rad. These things are so cool. This is what the guy wore to the club. Oh man, look at these. Yeah, this is so great. Oh man, I love it. What else have we got in here? Look at that. Little Johnson first aid kit. What else do you need besides a little adhesive tape? Some Band-Aids? Look at the font on this stuff. All this stuff is so well made. Look at that little container just for the adhesive tape. Now they just chuck the adhesive tape in there. And I will leave all of this stuff in here. This stuff will stay in this car for the duration of my ownership. I'm not taking any of this out. This stuff, oh, there's another set of glasses. Yeah, no, not quite as good. This must have been, these aren't prescription at all. So apparently someone in 1982, 70 was a little bit of a poser. These aren't real. But these are it. These are great. All right, I wanted to show you guys this. We've got Merc, and then we've got Club. I love the thought that this guy took his Merc to the club. This is hard to do with one hand, isn't it? Lots of new parts in the trunk. Looks like we've got a brand new master cylinder. Or no, that's calipers. We've got a brand new set of calipers, Mercedes brake pads, the hubcaps for this thing. And we might just put those on just because it's so bad for morale to have these steel wheels. But the crown jewel of everything that's in this trunk is right here. Let me show you. European headlights. Changes the game, changes everything. Let's grab this thing and I'll bring it over and show you the difference between it and the American headlights. All right, so we've got a European headlight here, and we have the American headlight here, and you can see this is a seal beam headlight. The Department of Transportation did not trust the Germans, what they were doing. They thought maybe the headlights were too bright. Big Ralph Nader thing, I'm sure. This headlight is made by Westinghouse. So this is a Westinghouse headlight. Definitely 40 years old. Biggest difference on these things, I'm telling you. is this. When you put this headlight on here, it changes everything. Look at that. Massive difference. So I might just put these on too, just for morale. Put these on, and I think it's going to be a big change to the way this thing feels, because I don't think the wife likes it right now. We're going to have to spruce things up a little bit. I was going to kind of show you guys what this might look like, because I have this extra fender. The other one's rusty. It won't go on. Reason being that there's this tab at the bottom right there is not made for the tab here. So there's different tabs to hold the headlight together. So that's not a quick job. We're gonna have to make something to hold that on, so I can't do that right now. It's a little bit of a bummer. But you can even see, even looking at that is a lot better than this. Alright guys, that is it for today. I cannot push this thing inside myself. Can't do it. Gonna have to wait for Brandon to come over. Maybe he'll stop by tonight and help me shove this thing into the garage. But this 3,000 pound beast, I just can't do it. Like this episode, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it. There's a lot of people watching. I'm really, really excited about where things are going. I hope you guys are too. We will see you next week. We'll probably be working on the Trooper.